Diego, not only caring for patients, inpatients and out, but the research that's being done is incredibly exciting and so advanced from what we might have talked about 20 years ago. And we introduce to you now Bianca Kennedy, a cancer survivor, and Dr. Geoffrey Wahl. Dr. Wahl has been working the battle against cancer, what, 40 years now?
40 years, yeah.
And you then have seen the progress, and I think that's what, in our conversation here, that if we can help the fans to understand that it isn't the way it was 25, 30 years ago. There is hope.
Oh, there's an incredible amount of hope. In the booth tonight, we had kids who were being treated at Rady Children's Hospital. Ernest Rady was in the booth next to us. He came and saw them. And, you know, some of these kids 25 years ago wouldn't have had a chance. And now they're being treated, and many of them will be cured. It's remarkable.
And your own story, Bianca.
Yes, I'd be happy to share that with you. Thank
do.
you, Dick.
Yeah.
When I was 35 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and this was in 2001. At that time, my sister had already been diagnosed twice. I went through the bilateral mastectomies, chemo, and other therapies, and did well as a survivor after that. In my road as a survivor, I became involved in advocacy. I found that it was an amazing experience to help others getting through it after I had been through it. So I did that. I worked with several different breast cancer organizations, and through those organizations, I ended up working with the DoD for the Congressionally Directed Medical Research Program, and that is where I met this incredible scientist, Jeff Wahl, at a conference, a breast cancer conference in Orlando, Florida. He then invited me to see the Salk so I could tour it, and he didn't even realize at the time, because we were in Florida, that I lived in San Diego, not too far from him. So we were very excited to find out that we lived nearby. I toured the Salk, loved it. It's an amazing energy. The science being done there is phenomenal. They graciously welcomed me to be part of their lab team as an advocate. And I go to the weekly lab meetings. I get to witness the science going on there, and in turn, I try to help convey the things I learned to the breast cancer community.
And you're also involved in some of the genetic basis for cancer. Is that correct, Doctor?
That's right. So cancer is a genetic disease. And in talking with Bianca, it was clear that she was diagnosed at a young age. Her sister was diagnosed at a young age. Her sister had multiple recurrences. Those are kind of signs that maybe they've inherited a gene that could predispose them to this. And I asked her about that, and she said, yes, she had been tested. And
is that the BRCA, what they call the BRCA gene?
There are two, BRCA1, BRCA2, are the common ones that give rise to predisposition for breast cancer. She had been tested, and she didn't have either of those. Oh. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be another one that we didn't know about. And as we got to know each other, she actually had a recurrence while she was with the lab. And fortunately, my wife is a breast oncologist and was able to help her. So it became kind of a family affair. And we all became convinced that we should be sequencing Bianca's DNA. So I wrote grants. They weren't funded. But finally, Pedal the Cause came about. And it was through that bike ride that I wrote a grant. It was funded. And within 5 months, Bianca's DNA had been sequenced, whereas for 3 years before that, we hadn't. Her sister and her mother.
Yes, my sister, and my sister's a 4-time survivor. So, and myself 2 times, so 6 times between the two of us. So we feel like there was something suspect going on there that just hasn't been discovered yet. So we're hopeful with this very generous grant from Pedal the Cause. One which we're so especially pleased about because it's high risk in nature. We're hopeful that we're going to find something that will help others.
So sad, and I can relate to this personally because I've lost my brother and my sister, both younger.
Yep.
I lost my daughter this past year.
Sorry
my father died of cancer. So I did the testing. That's Arenado with a base hit to center field. And I have the BRCA, I think it's 1. So, you know, we're just unlucky. We've inherited genetically the risk of having cancer much higher than maybe someone who doesn't have that gene.
But fortunately, you've found it out so that this knowledge is power. You can now be screened. They will be testing you routinely. And people are trying very hard to look for drugs that take advantage of that genetic alteration that you have, that should you ever develop a cancer, that this drug will work specifically on that cancer. So there are some women who are now being treated with an inhibitor. Let me just comment.
Can I interrupt? My concern isn't for me anymore. I've had
Sure.
a great life. My concern is for
your
my children, my
children.
grandchildren,
Exactly
that they're aware that it can be passed along.
That's exactly right. And that's what they need to know about. So that if your granddaughter, for example, were to find that she had a BRCA1 mutation, they would be looking at her very carefully, because then they could detect it earlier, and early detection is one of the secrets for better cures.
So instead of bad news, it's an alarm that now you have some knowledge that you know there might be something, so you monitor your examinations and know that you should be tested.
Absolutely.
Knowledge
I
is
consider
power.
that almost a gift. Who would think testing BRCA1 positive would be a gift? But in a sense it is, because you have the gift of foresight, or to see a road ahead of you that you might be able to avoid. So it's absolutely, there are things you can do to preempt getting a cancer diagnosis if you happen to test positive for BRCA1.
And
So
go ahead, please.
I just wanted to make a comment that we have a unique community in San Diego, in that there are 3 NCI-designated cancer centers within a mile of one another. The cures to cancer will come through research and then implementation. We have the Salk Institute, which was the first NCI-designated cancer center in San Diego. We have the Moores Cancer Center, which not only does research but treats people, and we have the Burnham Cancer Center. And of course, we have Rady Children's Hospital. All of these are working together for the first time, collaboratively, in order to enable the researchers to combine with the doctors to get the treatments to the patients as fast as possible. Bianca sequencing never would have happened the way that it did had we not had Pedal the Cause, had the money that was raised, not 100% of the net proceeds be dedicated to competitively reviewed research, sticking in this county. So I think it's unique. It's fast. It gets it to the people who need it, and it's doing good for everybody.
Yeah, that's
it's
great
wonderful.
news.
Wonderful. Many types of funding require a lot more hoops and bureaucracy. So it's amazing when Pedal the Cause can come along and help fund something and have such a quick result.
I visited the laboratory at Moore's clinic there. They call it the Liquid Research Laboratory.
That's right.
And so that's one of the many advances, that now we can maybe take a blood test or urine test and be able to detect and get some kind of a pre-warning.
But my wife likes to say, imagine if we had a cholesterol test for cancer, right? I mean, you go in, you test your cholesterol, it tells whether you're at risk for having a heart problem. Not only does it tell you that, double play, great play.
We're not gonna chase you off now. We'll say goodbye on the other side of the inning. A double play ends it after the walk. The Padres still lead 6-4. We hope you'll be inspired by this information to dig down it. Cancer doesn't avoid families. Everyone is touched by this disease, and we have a chance to help those that are really. I mean, this is like a team driving for a touchdown, and let's give them the ball, let them get in the end zone. We'll be right back at 6-4 after the top of the 5th inning. So the Padres here, bottom of the 5th inning with a 6-4 lead, and Justin Upton leading off. And as we say goodbye to Bianca Kennedy and congratulate her, the cancer survivor, and Dr. Geoffrey Wahl from Salk Institute, will give you a chance for a final farewell.
First, I wanted to thank you very much for your comments, and you said something that very deeply affected me. 100% of the people in this country will have a cancer experience. If not themselves, they will know somebody. 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women in their lifetime. We can all be part of the cures through supporting research such as done by Pedal the Cause.
And I see you're all attired for the ride on Saturday and Sunday, and all part of raising money.
September 26th. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit later.
Yeah, 26th and 27th.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. But this weekend, of course, we have our telethon, and I know you'll be watching. And I have a feeling our community is going to stand up very proudly in full support. We need to give you your resources to continue your great work.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting with us.
Thank you so much. We certainly appreciate this.
All right, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for your support.